Hi, I'm Rachel, a radical soul untangled. Well, doing a little reading on myself, and of course, if this resonates with anybody, um, you know, please feel free to take it as it works for you. But I'm going to do this for myself because I've been having a moment the last couple days. Recently lost my rabbit, one of my rabbits. Had five. um, but Axel, my little black lion head mix, only had him for about 7.5 months. He was doing fine, and then no trouble at all, except Monday he just didn't seem like himself, and by the time things got serious he was already too far gone. We think a while back he might have gotten into something he wasn't supposed to, and it might have gotten to him just now. But anyway, so I lost first pet I've lost in a while, and I'm processing a lot different. So it's kind of like doing like an energy check on myself to see how I'm doing today. He passed away Monday. He took a turn, and he passed away Tuesday. So very quick, whatever it was, like not even like 36 hours, but I did basically 6-card spread with my head, heart, and environment. And then I did, lesson to learn from this, something what I'm overcoming, and future direction. So, so first we'll start off with my head. I got the Empress, but in reverse. And so Empress energy is very much prosperity, material prosperity, wealth, a very maternal energy, clearly, but not just for children, but for, the world in this case. Like here, she's kind of has like these watery, airy type wings. She's got leaves in her hair, and obviously she's a figure of fertility. We have the moon here representing like emotion, and maybe in reverse that can maybe also represent illusion, and how she has a connection to the moon because she's connected to her emotions, so she's connected to her intuition. You're not connected to your intuition if you're not very well connected to your emotions. So but it came out in the reverse for me, so kind of take that to mean like that, motherly, nurturing energy feels a little flipped on its head for me right now. Had a few brief moments every now and then coming up going, maybe this is all dumb, maybe this is all silly, maybe I just need to be more realistic. And it's like, well, those thoughts don't make you feel good. They never make you feel good. They certainly did not make me feel good, and they didn't feel true either. There's times where the truth doesn't make you feel good, but it didn't feel true. But you, that's like your initial discomfort, and then after you get over that initial discomfort, you're like, yeah, but that actually simplifies things. No, when I was telling myself all this stuff was silly, it just felt bad. It only felt bad. So, but yeah, it kind of shows me that, like, my little bit of my faith in myself was shaken up. Raven went in for her spaying on Friday, and so I was very, preoccupied with that, and thinking that, she might not eat enough, and she could go into stasis, and that could have a snowball effect. But she did really well, and a lot of that I take it to that I didn't have a lot of fear in me like I did with the first 2 rabbits that got spayed, and they both pulled through fine, but I had a lot of fear in me, and I think that prolonged their healing process. So I had virtually no fear with Raven getting her spaying and recovering. I did even like some energy work with her, help her body heal. So I felt like this very healing motherly presence. And so when Axel took his turn, I felt like, yeah, okay, I've got this. I'm not afraid. I'm very hopeful, but I still knew something was very, very wrong, even though it was still so subtle. So it does show that I was connected to my intuition. You know, I was connected to my emotions. I was connected to my intuition. So it's not necessarily that expecting the worst and hoping for the best. It wasn't that, because I was, but it's kind of like, oh, I know, even if we fix this not eating issue, there's something deeper underneath, because he's not normally, he's never had a digestive issue, and he's not easily put off from not eating. So I knew there was a deeper issue, but I couldn't figure it out. And it started off so subtle. I don't think even a vet would have taken us seriously, you know, would have just told us to do what we were already doing to care for him. It was just a very subtle personality and energy change for him. And both me and my roommate picked up on it. And by, like I said, I don't think we had maybe 36 hours to really do anything about it. And I'm sure by the time it was serious enough for a vet to notice and take it seriously, he was already too far gone. So I felt like kind of shake up in my faith as this maternal energy, as this nurturing energy, as this healing energy. I feel like that's why it kind of came out in the reverse. Just a little shake up about my developing self-image there. For my heart, 5 of Cups. Now, 5 of Cups is generally about I like it in this. I love how they do it in this deck, actually. In like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's usually a guy, a cloaked figure, looking down at 3 spilled cups, but there's 2 upright cups behind him, and it tends to signify being preoccupied with the bad things in your life or the problems in your life and not appreciating the good things in your life. But I really love the energy of 5 of Cups in this deck, the Light Seers Tarot. Oh, I love it so much, because here she is, she's on the beach, and she is tipping her cups, or in this case, they're like singing bowls. She is tipping them into this void, but it's not necessarily a void of despair. This, for me, this 5 of Cups is like a releasing of emotional energy, of old thoughts, that patterns, like getting stuck in your feelings. And she's got this 5th bowl behind her that's full of all kinds of light and rainbows. And so it's, to me, this version of 5 of Cups, and you could even read the regular 5 of Cups that way, but with the imagery, it makes it a little more, doesn't resonate as much. But this one really works for me right now, because it shows how I have, in my heart, I have let go of so many hurtful thought patterns, and also just the desire to feed it. I used to have this problem where as soon as I started to feel sad, I would feed the sadness, sad thoughts, and I would keep myself in there, and I would get stuck in this vortex, and it would just be this horrible, vicious cycle that I would need I was so unskilled, I would need somebody, anybody. I would even have to call like a hotline to get somebody to help pull me out of this cycle of despair. I couldn't get out of it on my own. I didn't have the skills, and all I knew was just to feed myself, to get sadder and sadder and sadder. And so for me, this shows a releasing of that kind of emotional, pattern, how your thoughts are linked to your emotions. And so I love how she is the one tipping out her cups. These ones are empty, and like she's just tipping them into this void. Like, I don't need you anymore. I don't need these kind of thoughts, or I'm not going to hold these kind of emotions for too long. I can be sad, but all right, now I've worked on sad. Now I can let it go. I can release those feelings. So this version of 5 of Cups really speaks to me of releasing emotional energy. And I like that. So she's like on a beach, and then you can see behind her is the ocean, and at night. So again, time for nighttime is a time for introspection and reflection, internal reflection. And you can see this little trail, this winding little trail of black, liquid, and I like to think that that's coming from this hole. She's pouring those negative emotions down into the earth, and they're being grounded and transmuted and put back into source energy, but it's not turning the ocean black. It's just this little trail of black that's eventually just going to dilute and disperse, because to me that ocean reflects, you know, source energy, universe energy, the all that there is, you know, God source love, and just releasing all those painful feelings, you know, processing them and just letting them go. And that's the like let go, let God kind of energy. She's not holding on to keeping those bad feelings in her cup. And this is her cup that is filled from source. This is the new patterns, the new thoughts, the hopes and dreams that she's fostering. But she has to empty out these other cups first, and then she'll fill them from this one, which seems, see how these ones are in the foreground, but this one seems bigger and it's behind her. So I take it to mean that she's going to replenish this with brighter light energy, rainbow energy. It's just a very beautiful interpretation, very beautiful rendition of the Five of Cups. And for my energy for my environment, Four of Pentacles. And fours represent stability. Pentacles represent, you know, material, wealth, health, resources, you know, your home environment, your career, things like that. So just kind of anything in your material world. And so four means stability, can also mean stagnation. Usually Four Pentacles is kind of stagnation, stability to the point of stagnation, and hoarding, miserliness. So here she has her purse with her four. They use kind of like mandalas in this deck for Pentacles. And you can see how she's kind of, there's a town behind her. There's even people like dancing in the square. She's looking back at them, but she's kind of holding on to her purse. She's kind of has like reddish robe and yellow there. But I take that to mean that she's kind of, you know, guarding her wealth, or she's going like, oh, do I want to participate, or do I want to hold on to this wealth? I'm not familiar with runes off the top of my head, but I'm sure that rune probably has something to do with, you know, money. So yeah, Four of Pentacles can have a very miserly, graspy kind of feel, you know, so preoccupied with losing what you have. So this could kind of represent like a fear of loss. But I think for me, what I feel is kind of a renewed sense of purpose in this part of my mission. I've been kind of lackadaisical, you know, and that's just kind of generally how I am with like new ventures, putting a lot of energy in it first and then petering out if it doesn't pay off right away. So for me, this is showing me that I want to move towards more of like a persistence. I want to focus more on this part of the mission, you know, of doing the work, putting in the work to put for this mission. So because I want to stabilize this. So this is more for me like a desire to stabilize, you know, this energy in the physical, so I can keep going with this, maybe create a more stable routine. You know, I guess it kind of makes me reflect, maybe if I had a more solid routine, I would have caught things sooner and avoided some of this. But I'm not caught up in too much regret, you know. It's which is actually very, that's one of the cups that I've dumped out, feelings of regret, feelings of would have, could have, should have, things like that. Those are the kind of cups I'm pouring into that hole. And so I can focus more on grounding this energy in the physical. Now for, you know, what lessons to learn, the Lovers. Okay, so Lovers is like, you know, has a pretty obvious energy. You know, the romantic energy, we have kind of like red and orange here. So we have like the security, the red representing the security of your base chakra. You know, you want to be with somebody who makes you feel safe. But then also the sexual energy and creative energy of being in a connection with someone. And lovers also represents Gemini, which is around the time I got Axel. It was like end of May. But for me, the lovers in this case, like lessons to learn from this is just that love is eternal. You know, don't focus on this sense of loss. You know, I got Axel, I was with somebody very special to me, and so in a way his death kind of like, you know, put me in a little crisis, like, oh, maybe it really is over for good. You know, and but it just, in this case the lovers kind of represents like lesson to learn from this would be that, yeah, that love is eternal, that I didn't lose my rabbit. He's not alive anymore. I can't interact with his body physically, but I know he's everywhere. I'm sure he's so excited right now. He's just like, oh, and I'm up here now, and I'm over here, and I'm over here. I'm kind of everywhere. Wow, that's neat. He's a smart, curious, bright little creature. So, and anytime I feel sad, I just remind myself that I'm blocking my own connection to him, you know? And that's true with other people, you know, in your life too. So if I think about him not being with me anymore, his body being dead, then and being overly preoccupied with that, I'm actually blocking out, you know, unconditional love. And so instead, I'm going to focus on not just the happy memories and the happy times, but I will focus on that, but just focus on the fact that, you know, yeah, again, love is eternal. You know, I loved him, and he did well, and he flourished, and he's on his tiny little bunny soul mission, you know. Maybe he got called, somebody else on Facebook had a rabbit that passed away recently, that on the same day, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's like an extra dimensional soul mission they got called away on, and they just had to shed their tiny bodies here because they needed all of their power in that realm, and that the love we gave them, that was part of their training. So that was a fun way to look at it. Yeah, this just kind of revives to me, not necessarily a romantic connection, but just the remembrance, taking the lesson that love is eternal and unconditional, the truest form of love, the highest form of love. And energies that I need to like walk away from, shed. 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands, you can see her here. It's usually kind of a guarded energy. You know, Wands is the fire suit. It's usually the energy of, you know, getting things done, creativity, power, can even be sexual energy. In this case, usually when you get to 9 of Wands, you've attained something, but you're also has an energy of like you're guarding it, you know, like you're like you finally have the payoff that you wanted, and but now you feel this need to really protect it, you know. So here you see that she turned the wands, you know, into a fence, and she's standing at the fence with like her other wand lit as a torch, and you know, so she's guarding her boundaries. Can also mean setting up boundaries, you know, healthy boundaries. But I take it as, since I said like energy I need to leave behind, a guarded feeling, of defensive feeling, which can not just mean like about, you know, usually when people experience a loss, they feel guarded because it hurts so bad. So they try to block off their heart. You know, they try to block off their heart chakra and not allow themselves to get too attached to things, because it might not last forever, and when it does, it's going to hurt. So I'm going to keep that at bay. I'm not going to open up my heart too much because I don't want that pain. So you're more focused on anticipating the pain of when that connection physically inevitably is going to end, you know, either, you know, interpersonally or in somebody's death. And that pain of loss can make you very guarded. And so this is telling me that I'm learning to let go of being guarded. I don't have any regrets about him. I'm not going, oh, I only had 7.5 months, you know, with this rabbit. You know, I shouldn't be so attached, or or, you know, I'm not going to let myself get that attached to a creature again, you know. No, I'm not, I'm leaving that kind of energy behind, this guarded, overprotective energy, you know. So this is saying I'm leaving that energy behind, but that it's, you know, okay to have, you know, healthy boundaries and everything too. So it's also saying I'm leaving behind also this desire to cling onto things, you know, keeping, so, you know, fences keep things out, but they also keep things in. That can be in a restrictive way. So I take this to mean I'm kind of releasing a lot of restriction around my heart, you know, and I feel like that's an appropriate card to come up. And I said, like, likely outcome for this. Another card in reverse, this time it's the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is usually considered conflict, you know. So here you see everyone's kind of competing to try to scramble up this tower to reach the flame, you know, to be the most creative or the best, you know. And we have the other people, they look like, you know, it looks like a kind of a free-for-all. Everyone's out to get it for themselves. They're not necessarily trying to hurt the other person, but they're not helping each other. They're not working together. They're not cooperating. But it comes out in reverse. So I take this to mean letting go of, you know, self-doubts, you know, because I'm naturally not a very competitive person. So I think this is kind of telling, you know, wand energy against fire energy, creativity. This is basically saying, like, I'm letting go of any notion that in this kind of endeavor that I have to compete with others, that, you know, oh, maybe my readings aren't as good as other people's readings. Oh, maybe the way I present things isn't as entertaining. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm not organized enough. Maybe I'm not methodical enough. Maybe. I think that's telling me that I'm rejecting this, because a lot of my conflict is actually internal. I might make it seem like I'm in competition with others, but really I'm in conflict with myself, you know, with a lot of self-doubts and stuff. So I kind of take this to mean I could be releasing like some self-doubts, and that's going to be the future direction, not learning to let go of a struggle, you know, this feeling I need to struggle. Like I keep saying, well, I struggle with being organized and maintaining that. I struggle with, you know, timelines. I struggle with, you know, keeping to a schedule or routine. Letting go of this concept that I struggle with things. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I definitely feel that. Letting go of this concept that I'm always internally struggling with things, and just going like, and focusing maybe more on the positive, putting more affirmations in there, going like, I'm doing better than I ever have before. Today is a good day, and even if it's not been my best day, it is still positive, you know, motion. You know, I'm still maintaining the momentum, even if I'm not being super dynamic. I'm still I'm not getting in my own way as much. Yeah, this is, I feel like this likely outcome is me starting to get out of my way more. So yeah, and then bottom of the deck energy, kind of like the overall energy. Three of Pentacles. This is like a card of cooperation, you know, mutual collaboration, you know, mutual creativity. And we have 3 people working on a project together, but they're all working like independently. Like she's doing her thing, they're all doing their own thing, and yet they're collaborating, they're moving together. It's not one person. Like it might look like in the picture that he's, you know, above everyone, but you know, he's only physically above them. They're doing their things, but it doesn't seem like he's dictating what they should do. And yeah, I'm starting to kind of develop a more collaborative mindset. I'm following other like-minded people on Facebook, liking their pages and following them, and not just looking to them for guidance, you know, how do I do this? How do I do this? But a little bit of guidance, of course, and help keep me on track. But, you know, as also potential collaborators in future projects, especially if I keep, however I choose to keep this going, you know, how I can choose to do this mission work. So yeah, this is very interesting, very good spread. Pretty happy with how that turned out. And I'm going to still, you know, I'm going to turn to this deck, Angel Guide Oracle. I'm going to ask maybe for 3 angel messages. Kind of go with this, or maybe like what? You know, what are the angels telling me? Earlier today, as I was picking up my daughter, I was just starting to come to terms with, you know, the feeling like, you know, even though my rabbit is physically gone, even though Axel's physically gone, energetically, some of him is always around, you know, and I can summon more of that energy when I think about positive thoughts, positive loving feelings for him, you know, positive experiences. And okay, so angels, oh, Mother, Father, God. Okay, that came up for me last night when I was doing something similar about this. Mother, Father, God. All right, angels, what other message do you have for me this time? I really appreciate. Okay, signs and reminders. Okay, wow, yeah. All right, angels, thank you so much. And what other information, other messages you have for me to share? Okay, and transformations. All right. Oh, these are good. So Mother, Father, God, I take this one to mean, you know, connection. You know, we have Christianity has Jesus as a Father, Son, Holy Spirit, but in there, so they're not wrong that, you know, in a sense, the divine, you know, source energy has kind of like a trifecta. The Mother, Father, God, they're kind of all aspects of the same thing. We have the mother, we have the father, the masculine, the feminine, the nurturer and the provider and protector, the giver and the receiver. Actually, it's the other way around. The feminine tends to be considered the receiver and the masculine the giver. But together, you know, they are God. And so we have this circle, and the circle has a lot of yellow energy, a lot of that sureness, you know, like how does God describe themselves? God describes himself as I am. That, full stop. I am. I exist. I be. I just am. Not instead of the doer. I mean, okay, creator, whatever. But God primarily identifies himself as I am, you know, and that is, you know, sacral or solar plexus energy in a nutshell. That yellow chakra is just that I am. I know who I am. I know what I'm about. I know what's right for me. I know what's wrong for me. And so just that, you know, true, well-rooted self-confidence. And we have, of course, a lot of orange, creative energy, sacral energy here. So creative, and we have a spiral, you know, just the circle, you know, how life is cyclical, but the cycles are never identical, you know, they feed off each other. You can either have a spiral that gets ever smaller or a spiral that gets ever greater, you know. I like that this person, you know, you can see, you know, swirling kind of patterns in themselves, and blues and purples, so the kind of like the higher chakra energies, you know, crown and intuition, you know, third eye energy, and just basically how we are not even just a spirit housed in a physical shell, but how we are a physical containment unit that's manifested by spirit. in order to work in this physical world according to the physical rules. And we have this connection to nature here. So yeah, I'm using Axel's death as an opportunity to really help ground in myself, but also my daughter and my home. The circle of life, getting into the flow of, you know, things coming and going in your life and being okay with that. You know, my daughter and I both struggle with, you know, attachment. And this card kind of reveals to me, like, you know, letting go of that attachment, getting in touch with cycles of life and death, rebirth, all kinds of good things like that. Signs and reminders. I think I started off saying how when I went to pick up my daughter, just as I pulled onto her street, a rainbow appeared, just a little fragment of rainbow in the clouds. And it hadn't been raining. It had actually been fairly sunny all day. And then it just got kind of partly cloudy. And I saw a tiny fraction of rainbow. And then when I turned the corner, the intersection for her house, there was a bright chunk of that rainbow. It was right above her house. And I just started crying because it was just like, oh my God, my rabbit has already met up with my spirit team and my guardian angels, and they've manifested this bit of rainbow to just help brighten my day, show me I'm on the right track. So it's just getting my thought energy out of, I'm sorry I failed you, I love you, I miss you, getting out of that sorrow cycle. And I was just getting out of that, and then that rainbow just like it reminded me, hey, you're on the right track and you're doing great and everything's good. So just enjoy your evening with your daughter. You know, you don't have to stay sad. And so yeah, so signs and reminders, like that kind of synchronicity, just, man, huge. And so we have, you know, feather and like this, I love the colors here. And we have butterflies for, you know, transformation, which was the other card that came out. Got some moon energy, kind of saying, you know, signs and synchronicities, that's all about your intuition. You know, logically, you see a number sequence come up repeatedly. You know, logically, it's like, well, that's just coincidence, or that's just something kind of random. And of course, oh, there's just as, it would be more unusual if your life had no coincidences or no synchronicities. So your intuition is saying, okay, yeah, sure, technically that's true too, but we know what this means. We're in touch with a greater self. Also, oh, my daughter told me that before I told her too much, I just told her that Axel passed away. And she said that she had a bad dream Sunday night about me being sad about something. Not a lot of crying or weeping, but just that I was very sad and something was wrong. And she was trying to get to me and she couldn't get to me. She couldn't help me. Monday morning was when Axel was noticeably unwell. And I, you know, fed them, and I usually check in on them right before I go to bed. And I go to bed at like 2 o'clock. I get ready for bed like at 2 o'clock. So some days. And so, you know, he was fine then. So it's almost as if during the time she was asleep, I explained it to her. It's like, you were maybe picking up on the fact that some kind of energy close to me was shifting, and you picked up on that, and you knew it was going to make me sad. So I wasn't sad Sunday night. I wasn't even sad Monday night. You know, it wasn't until Tuesday night that I wasn't even that worried Monday night, you know. But you picked up on the fact that some energy shift had already happened in our home, and that the inevitable result would lead to me being sad, at least for a time. And you wanted to warn me. So I was trying to explain to her that that was it. Just because I wasn't sad that day, that doesn't mean her intuition was wrong. It means that she picked up on the energy as it was happening. And I really want to foster that in her. Not that she can necessarily predict the future, you know, but that she can pick up on the energy and she can tell what the likely outcome of that energetic trajectory is. And it just blows my mind. And again, like, that was before I told her the detail of, like, well, he was sick Monday morning, and then she's like, yeah, well, that kind of reminds me of Sunday. And she was very specific. Sunday, I had a weird dream that you were very sad about something. And I thought it might have been about Raven, my rabbit that got spayed on Friday. So, so yeah, signs and reminders. That's a big one. And then transformation. Like I said, it kind of goes to this 5 of Cups energy of letting go of the old thought patterns of I could have done this, I should have done that, I could have done this, I should have done that, I would have if, you know, if this other thing wasn't holding me back, you know, letting go of those old thoughts and the terrible feelings that go with them, replenishing my energy from source, you know, emptying the cups of these old toxic beliefs and thought patterns and emotional patterns that get tied to them, and being able to refill these cups with this new upgraded energy that I've been feeling, this unconditional love energy, you know. So transformation, again, this letting go of being overly guarded, of having not just healthy boundaries, but being guarded and withdrawn from others, and letting go of this internal conflict. This is probably one of the times I view inverse more like as an internal conflict rather than this, and I feel like I'm letting go of that, you know. And that even though this Empress energy is in the reverse, I still know that that is a big part of my core identity, you know, is the Empress. So I haven't given up on that. I guess I'm not an Empress. It's just saying I have a little bit of doubt about it right now, and that I'm working towards collaboration with others. So this is, yeah, so again, transformation seen all throughout this short reading. And so I think the angels are onto something. Thank you. And again, this just kind of reminds me and reassures me like I'm on the right path, and also gives me other things to consider, you know, just the universal connection of everything. So anyway, that's how I do these readings. If you're interested in having a personal reading, a 6-card reading like that, like this, you know, I think I have for $30, and toss in a couple oracle card, you know, oracle card. I could do one or a draw, and it'd be about $2 to do like a quick oracle draw, or 2 or 3. Just to kind of clarify some of the energy of the reading, or you know, asking angels, you know, for this one, you know, asking them, you know, what kind of energy to take, what kind of lessons to take from this reading, or what kind of, you know, reminders, gentle reminders that they have for you. Yeah, also this is another good card to give a good energy, overall energy for the reading, like that as well. So anyway, please feel free to contact me. Message me through Facebook is the best way to get a hold of me. You could also email me, but Facebook's the best way. Anyway, my name is Rachel. I'm a Radical Soul Entangled. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.